Voice of Truth. We have been coming here now for almost a year, actually, more than a year, and it has been a blessing. We thank God for His faithfulness and for His goodness and for His mercy because we know we could not have done this by ourselves. It is the grace of God to be chosen and the grace of God to follow and obey the calling of God and to continue with it. Amen. Because many are called, but not all of us can take that decision to follow through the calling. Amen. I'll say it again. Many are called. You can be called. Being called by God will not be the determining factor into following through. You can be called of God, but the important part is, can you walk it out? Can you take the important steps to follow through with it? Because we are going to be accountable. Amen. That was my nugget. Just open this broadcast. Again, I thank you so much for my listeners here in Richmond and Virginia and Augusta, Georgia, and Florida, Pensacola, Florida, and Northern Virginia, Maryland. I thank God for the 5 broadcasts He has blessed us with. Again, like I say, it is a privilege, but we take it with responsibility. Amen. Also, before I begin this broadcast, I also want to acknowledge every person that has been faithful in sowing seed to help us to be on the air. You know who you are. You know who you are for being faithful in sowing seed to make things happen. You know who you are. May the God who led you to sow this seed into our mission. May the God that led you to sow the seed, may He Himself reward you. Only God can reward you for your goodness and for your kindness into this work. Amen. So, today we're going to talk about hope beyond bars. Hope beyond bars. I had this broadcast at a different station, and it was dealing with hope beyond bars. When we talk about our friends, our family members, our acquaintances that are in the jail and the prison system. I'm talking about the inmate. Somebody, somewhere that you know he is in the system. He's locked up. But now, the point is not about being locked up. The point that I'm trying to make in this series of broadcasts is about how can you and me, my listeners, how can we be a helping hand into an inmate? Are we going to just sit down sideways, enjoy our lives, and not care and not worry about our inmate? Or are we going to pick up ourselves and say, you know what? No matter what they have done, no matter what the inmate have done, no matter what crime they have committed, the law enforcement will deal with it. But on our side, what can we do spiritually? What can we do emotionally to have our inmate restored into themselves, restored into society, for them to become better citizens? Because even though they might have fallen, even though they might have messed up, they are not a second class citizen. They are citizens just like you and me. They might have done some mistake. They might have committed some crimes. But the difference is that they got caught. Many of us are listening might have done some stuff that nobody caught us. But unfortunately for our brothers and our sisters who are in the jail or in the prison, they got caught, and that's why they're serving time. Amen. So just because they're in the prison or in the jail doesn't mean they have to be forgotten. Doesn't mean they have to be forgotten and ignored and neglected. No. We have to treat them as God's people. We have to treat them as God's creation. We have to treat them as God Himself. God's image. Amen. So my first point, I want to talk to the inmate. Inmate, I want you to understand this. And if you have somebody in a jail system, I want you to pass on this message to them. That the inmate, they are people too. I'll say it again. The inmates, they are God's people too. They are God's creation. They are God's images. The inmate have to know this and understand that no matter what they have done, no matter what they have messed up, they should not identify themselves with the crime. Oh, they should not identify themselves with the crime they have committed. They are God's people. They are God's a creation. God created them in his own image. And their mistake and their crime will not take away the identity of being in God's image. I'll say it again. The image mistake, the image crime will never take away the identity of God being the creator. That's my first point. They are God's people. The inmates. If you are locked up right now, if you are in a prison or in a jail system right now, I want you to understand this. You are God's creation. Your mistake, your crime will not take away God's image from you. Amen? That's my first point. My second point, even though you have committed a crime, I want you to forgive yourself. Again, I'll say it again, to our inmate brothers and sisters. And if you are listening to this broadcast and you know somebody who has been locked up, you know somebody who's in jail serving time, I want you to understand this. You have to forgive yourself. God in heaven will forgive you. No matter what you have done, understand this. God, who is your creator, God, who is your ultimate judge, he will forgive you of your sins. He will forgive you of your crimes. Even the law enforcement, even the judge that will decide of your sentencing time, he will have to give you some lenience and forgive you at some point. But that forgiveness or God's forgiveness will not have any effect or any impact over your life if you don't forgive yourself. I'll say it again. God's forgiveness, even though God is a big and powerful and mighty and loving God, his forgiveness will have no impact and no effect over your life if you don't forgive yourself. So I want you, my inmates, my brothers and my sisters locked up in the system, I want you to forgive yourself of no matter what crime you have done, no matter what sin you have committed. I want you to forgive yourself. And if you are listening, and you are not locked up, I want you to share this message with the inmate brother or sister that they have to forgive themselves. Amen. My third point, after you acknowledge that you are God's creation, after you acknowledge that, you know what, to forgive yourself, the third point is this: you have to take responsibilities. This is very important because human nature by itself, we hate taking responsibilities. We tend to blame everybody else but ourselves. We tend to point the finger at everybody else but ourselves. I didn't do it. They are responsible. They make me. No. It is time for you inmates, my brothers, my sisters, who are locked up in the prison and the federal system and jail or whatever you are locked up. It is time for you to take responsibility. Amen. Now, once you say, you know what, I am responsible, I have committed a crime, I forgive myself, and I acknowledge I am responsible, then you will see the freedom of God flow through you. Because anybody that gives you counsel, any counselor will tell you the first step into changing lives, into changing yourself, into improving yourself is being accountable, taking responsibility. So I want you, my inmates, to understand this. Take responsibility of your crime, of your issue, of your sin. Amen. That was my third point. Now, my fourth point. Again, this is a series. I want to talk to my inmates, to my brothers and my sisters, because I believe society have a tendency to forget or neglect people that are locked up. We tend because we identify themselves with that orange suit. We identify themselves with that gray striped suit, as if they have been locked up and their life itself is locked up, even though you are in jail. This is my fourth point. Oh Lord, help us. I love this. Even though you are in jail locked up, even though you are in jail in a prison serving time, understand this. Your life is not locked up in the eyes of God. Your mind is not locked up. Don't see yourself as being locked up in your mind, in your emotion, in your potential. Even though physically you are locked up in a cell, you are locked up in a jail system, don't see yourself as being locked up. See yourself as being freed in the Lord. Amen. See yourself as being freed in the Lord. Do not count yourself as being locked up in your mind, in your emotion. You might be serving time in the four walls, but guess what? Your life is beyond the four walls. See yourself. Let your mind go beyond the four walls. Open yourself into creativity. Open yourself into ideas, into potential, into desires, into what God. Listen, the four walls will never stop your Creator from giving you ideas. The four walls that you are locked up in will never stop God from giving you ideas and things to create. How do I know that? In the book of Jeremiah 33 verse 1. In the book of Jeremiah 33 verse 1. We have the story of Jeremiah who was in prison. Jeremiah, a prophet of God, he was in prison. Understand this, my listeners. As you are driving, as you are going to do your shopping, anything you are doing, even if you are locked up, the Bible says God spoke to Jeremiah in prison. Jeremiah chapter 33 verse 1, the Bible says Jeremiah heard the voice of God from prison. So if this man of God can hear the voice of God from prison, how much more you, my brother, you, my sister, that is locked up in jail, aren't you going to hear the voice of God from prison? My point is this. The four walls that you are locked up will not and never stop God from speaking to you. No situation, no circumstance, no geographical position that we can find ourselves in can stop God from speaking and talking and revealing that to us. So I want you to be encouraged that your life is not limited in jail. It might be limited physically because you are in the four walls, but your mind cannot be limited. Your ideas cannot be limited. Your creativity cannot be limited. You can be in jail and writing letters. You can be in jail and writing poems. You can be in jail and writing songs. You can be in jail and writing books. Matter of fact, Paul, the Apostle Paul, who we're going to talk about in the next session, the Apostle Paul, he was in prison as well. But guess what? He wrote the third book of the New Testament. Paul in prison wrote letters. Amen. So until next time, I want you, my listeners, to be encouraged by this, that your Creator, He knows you, He loves you, and He cares for you. So stay tuned for our next broadcast. Same time, same channel, and same radio broadcast. And spread the word with the inmate. And spread the word with somebody who has an inmate in jail. Amen. Until next time, God bless you. Bye-bye.